When you talk about the fantasy genre in anime, whether it's high fantasy or dark, one name is inescapable for all, that name being Berserk, the seminal dark fantasy series written by the late great Kentaro Miura. While its status amongst fans and critics is unassailable, I thought, why not take this chance to explore other fantasy series that might not be similar to Berserk entirely, but could appeal to someone who enjoyed Miura's masterpiece. The result was this video, where I take you through a journey as we explore 10 fantasy anime series that could perhaps rival Berserk due to their complex characters, layered narratives, and intricate world building. So here are 10 fantasy anime that rival Berserk and might even beat it. Let's begin. The 12 Kingdoms, 2002. Let's kick things off with the animated adaptation of a series of novels written by Fuyumi Ono and illustrated by Akihiro Yamada, called The 12 Kingdoms. Directed by Tsuneo Kobayashi and produced by Pirate, this series is an epic isekai fantasy drama about the adventures of a schoolgirl who finds herself transported into another dimension. This schoolgirl, named Yoko Nakajima, is your average student who's still finding her way through life and not particularly pleased with much around her. However, all of this changes abruptly when she's confronted by a stranger who tells her that she is the heir of an unknown kingdom and about her true destiny. Following a clash with monstrous beasts, this handsome stranger draws her into a world of fantasy and magic where she must journey to reclaim her kingdom. Through her journey, Yoko meets numerous allies and enemies as she tries to come to terms with not just this new world around her, but also her own self, making this series a beautiful rite of passage. In this world, people who have come from Earth are called Kaikyaku, making them hunted fugitives. As you can imagine, as a Kaikyaku, the odds are stacked against her. The world of 12 Kingdoms is a vast and magical world with feudal-era aesthetics filled with not just magic, but also deadly political intrigue and power-hungry figures. An interesting fact about this series that I found is that Yoko is not really the central protagonist for the novels. In fact, she is only one of the main characters in the source material, with just 2 books really focusing on her story. If you're looking for an isekai series with complex characters and a fully fleshed out and lived-in world, then I think this one will appeal to you. Mushishi, 2005. The next entry on this list is a supernatural slice-of-life anime called Mushishi, based on the eponymous manga written by Yuki Urashibara. Set in an alternate timeline that seems to combine elements from both the Edo and Meiji eras of Japan, it tells the tale of a wanderer called Ginkgo. In this world, besides human, animals, insects, and plants, there also exist mysterious and primal beings called Mushi, who have been affecting the world and their surroundings from time immemorial. They cannot be perceived by ordinary humans for the most part, but Ginkgo is one of those rare people who can see them. The anime focuses on Ginkgo as he travels from one place to another, trying to not just aid the humans, but the Mushis as well, solving problems caused by their interaction. There's no overarching plot, as each episode presents Ginkgo with a unique situation that he must overcome. What really spoke to me was the fact that the Mushi are not really presented as evil, especially by Ginkgo himself. This lends a sort of easygoing, altruistic tone to the anime despite some serious moments. It's to be noted that the anime doesn't present the story in a different order than the manga, which might confuse people who have read the manga already. But thanks to the story not having an overarching plot and instead being more akin to an anthology, it doesn't pose much of an issue. I personally thought it felt a lot like Natsume and Yujin Cho in terms of its vibes. If you enjoy supernatural shows told in a slice-of-life fashion, then this series will surely appeal to you. Fullmetal Alchemist, Brotherhood, 2009. There are few anime fans who can claim to have never heard about the iconic series Fullmetal Alchemist, Brotherhood. This is not to be confused with the 2003 adaptation of the manga series by Hiromu Arakawa. This 2009 anime series is a much more faithful adaptation of the manga and is widely considered by fans to be the definitive Fullmetal Alchemist experience. The story is set in a fictional world where things like alchemy are very much real in all their mystical glory. However, for an alchemist to produce the desired result, they must obey the law of equivalent exchange. This means for every effect, there is a consequence that can vary in scale. Many of these alchemists are employed by the authoritarian state that uses them as living weapons. While there are no real laws governing the usage of alchemy, the one taboo that all alchemists adhere to is human transmutation. In layman's terms, you cannot attempt to resurrect the dead through alchemy. The story centers around two young boys, Edward and Alphonse Elric, who, after losing their mother, try to bring her back by breaking this fundamental taboo. The result is that Ed ends up losing a couple of his limbs, while Alphonse loses his entire body, with his soul being bound to a suit of armor by his brother to save him. As the two join the state alchemist in their quest to restore their bodies, the brothers become embroiled in a conspiracy and a foe that's insidious and ancient beyond their belief. I remember being absolutely captivated by the sheer scope of layers in the storytelling of this series. From a quest that begins with the two brothers trying to reclaim their humanity, to understanding the nature of the Philosopher's Stone and the world as they know it, Fullmetal Alchemist is a ride of a lifetime that you just cannot miss. Claymore, 2007. Written and drawn by mangaka Norihiro Yagi, the man behind the award-winning one-shot manga Undead Man, Claymore has established itself as one of the best dark fantasy anime and manga of all time. Claymore follows the story of Claire, a genetically engineered warrior created by an enigmatic group simply called the Organization, to combat monsters that feed on the innards of human beings called the Yoma. Claymores are a female-only warrior group, and at any given time, there are 47 of them active at the same time. They are a hybrid of Yoma and humans, giving them unnaturally long lifespans, enhanced physical attributes, and the ability to channel their Yoki energy for various purposes. Yoki is a concept of energy similar to ki energy found in several other manga and anime. This is a special energy that's accessible only to the Yoma and Claymores, as the latter's a hybrid. The audience is taken on a wild ride along with the characters in a world filled with mystery, deceit, and vengeance. These warriors' very notions of reality get challenged, as deep and dark secrets regarding their origins and true purpose are revealed as the series progresses. Claymore draws heavy comparisons with the Witcher franchise due to some unmistakable similarities between the two. Both the franchises feature biologically altered humans who are altered at a young age and trained to fight monsters. They are also widely ostracized by the very populace they protect, and their services can be purchased with coin. Despite these similarities, Claymore is a unique anime in itself, having carved out a substantial number of hardcore fans over the years. I think this is a series that has everything from hard-hitting emotional beats to raw, unfiltered gore. So if you're looking for a series that satisfies your itch for both ends of the spectrum, then I'd say Claymore is something you have to pick up. Puella Magi Madoka Magica, 2011. When you think of the Mahou shoujo genre, I won't blame you if your thoughts immediately drift to Sailor Moon. While that series did revolutionize the way the genre is perceived, the next entry for this video really pushed things to the limits. This is because Puella Magi Madoka Magica is a dark fantasy series and a psychological thriller disguised in the form of a Mahou shoujo series, and don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. Puella Magi Madoka Magica is an original animated series created by Magica Quartet and directed by Akiyuki Shinbo and Yukihiro Miyamoto. It ran for a total of 12 episodes. And boy, are those 12 episodes of pure madness. In my opinion, its dark and gritty vibe is only further accentuated by the juxtaposition of its themes with regular shoujo visuals found in this genre. The story revolves around a middle school student, Madoka Kaname, who is offered a chance to become a magical girl by a small cat-like creature called Kyubey. It tells Madoka and her friend Miki that they could gain any power they wanted as long as they signed a contract to fight evil magical beings called witches. Seeing their reluctance to join the ranks of magical girls, a senior in their school called Mami takes them on a witch hunt, and here's where it slowly began to dawn on me that this show was not really what it seemed. This is because Mami is killed by this infernal witch, and the viewers, along with Madoka and Sayaka, finally understand that being a magical girl is not as fun as it sounds. The cost for turning into a Mahou shoujo is revealed to be one soul, which transforms into a soul gem. There's also the fact that things don't always go smoothly as planned, and complications can arise while forming contracts. which was the case with a Mahu shoujo whose entire family died in exchange for her power. As the series goes, we also get a revelation about the true nature of the witches that completely flips the script and takes the narrative into an even darker place. It's interesting to note that the creators behind this series insisted that the show would retain its current name and be marketed as a magical girl series. If you're looking for something that will subvert your expectations, then look no further than this dark thriller disguised as a shoujo anime. Hunter x Hunter 2011. The sixth series on this list is a manga written and illustrated by legendary mangaka Yoshihiro Togashi called Hunter x Hunter. Some people call it Hunter x Hunter, but Togashi actually confirmed that the X is silent. In this world, the people who are called hunters are individuals who have exceptional powers and who travel around the world hunting down rare beasts, treasures, and even other individuals. Their special status not only makes them elite, but also grants them access to areas that are forbidden for the rest of humanity. This wouldn't be a great shonen anime if it didn't have its own power-up system. And in Hunter x Hunter, this is called the Nen, which is sort of like chakra from Naruto, loosely speaking. Using Nen, elite hunters are able to manifest powers that defy logic and reason in order to harm or heal, depending on their nature. The story revolves around a young boy named Gon Freaks, who has grown up on a remote island believing himself to be an orphan. His happy and ordinary life is turned upside down when an old apprentice of his father reveals to the boy that not only is his father alive, but he is also a world-class hunter. We watch as young Gon decides to leave his home in search of his father and become a hunter himself. To this end, he undertakes the rigorous hunter exams and, during his journey, meets powerful allies to aid him in his adventures. Sadly, due to the mangaka's poor health, the series has never been completed, leading to the anime being incomplete as well. Despite this, Hunter x Hunter frequently comes up in conversations regarding the best shonen anime of all time. From inspiring shows like Jujutsu Kaisen to Attack on Titan, this anime remains a standard bearer of the genre. An interesting fact about its older animated adaptation, which ran from 1999 for about 62 episodes before being canceled, is that the violence and mature themes in it were severely toned down. Normally, the older animated adaptations don't hold back in this regard, but in Hunter x Hunter's case, the newer adaptation is considered to be a more faithful one. If you enjoy anime as much as I do, I can't make a list of this nature and not recommend Hunter x Hunter. Be sure to check this one out if you've been sitting on the fence about it. Fate Zero 2011. The seventh entry on this list comes from the famous Fate Stay Night universe, which is a series of anime based on the visual novels by Type Moon. Fate Zero is the prequel to the hit Fate Stay Night series and is set during the events of the Fourth Holy Grail War. We kick off 10 years before the events of Fate Stay Night as the mage families Ainsburn, Matu, and Tosaka prepare to take part in another war to claim the elusive Holy Grail for themselves. The Grail War, for the uninitiated, is a battle royale where 7 mages summon and bind themselves to heroic spirits of legendary individuals from across time to fight each other. One of the coolest things, in my opinion, is the battles we get to see between legendary heroes whose paths would have otherwise never crossed in real life. The Grail is a powerful mystical artifact that has the ability to grant any wish asked of it. The previous 3 wars fought over the Grail have proven to be inconclusive, resulting in only massive devastation and loss of life. The Ainsburn family, however, is desperate to win the Grail War this time around, and they'll go to any lengths to do this. As a part of this master plan, they decide to adopt a deadly mage slayer called Kiritsugu Emiya into their family in order to make him fight on their behalf. For those familiar with the franchise, yep, this is basically Shiro Emiya, the protagonist of the Fate Stay Night series' adoptive father. Kiritsugu is a ruthless mage who will use any means necessary to achieve victory. Despite having once aspired to be a hero of justice who could save everyone, he had given up on his dreams, having realized that saving a life often required the sacrifice of another. Jaded and disillusioned by the weight of reality, he had turned into this merciless mercenary. I found the story is as much a battle for the Grail as it is a battle for Kiritsugu's soul, as he's torn between the things he has to do to win the war and the love for his new family. If you're looking for more Fate action without the same protagonist and characters, then Fate Zero is a perfectly good offering that will appeal to fans of the series. This is also a perfectly good anime for any new fans to jump into the series as well, so give it a shot. Dororo 2019. For the second to last entry on this list, I have an animated series that's based on the 1967 manga written by one of the most celebrated manga artists of all time, Osamu Tezuka. It's a bloody coming-of-age series that revolves around the journey of its two main characters, Hyakimaru and Dororo. This is a supernatural coming-of-age tale of greed, vengeance, friendship, and family. As the two journey through a war-torn feudal Japan in order to slay demons that had stolen Hyakimaru's humanity from him, they must confront all manner of challenges. The man responsible for this atrocity is none other than his own father, who is the daimyo of the land. Even before his birth, his lord father had made a terrible pact with 48 demons, sacrificing him to gain wealth and prosperity. When Hyakimaru was born, you could barely call him human, as he lacked anything besides his tiny, incomplete body to identify him as such. The demons had exacted their toll and taken away pieces of him, leaving the child barely alive. However, despite being born into such adversity and having his own father try to take his life, Hyakimaru survives due to the kindness of his mother, as he is set adrift on the river with his survival left to fate. As fate would have it, though, he is rescued by a wandering medicine man called Jukai, who takes this child, who is sightless, limbless, and without any sensory organs, including his skin, as his own. As a young adult, he is bestowed with a demon-slaying sword by another wanderer, while a disembodied voice informs him of his true nature and the quest he must embark on. By the time Hyakimaru meets Dororo, he has already slain over 15 demons and regained some semblance of his humanity. While the two journey on to slay the remaining demons, his father, Kagemitsu, becomes possessed by the very demons he sought to bargain with. Instead of the prosperity and power promised to him, demons now lay waste to his realm and torment his citizens unchecked. As both father and son head towards an inevitable showdown, it will be up to the Ronin, who had been abandoned at birth, to save the very realm for which he was sacrificed. When we watch Hyakimaru's transformation over the course of the series, it's not lost to the audience that they are not just witnessing a physical transformation, but one that symbolizes much deeper things. The transition of him steadily reclaiming his humanity after being born the way he was until he's whole is depicted beautifully. The two characters play wonderfully off each other with their contrasting personalities, which instantly captivates the audience. If you enjoy watching tales of vengeance set in feudal Japan with some hard-hitting demon-slaying action, then this anime will surely appeal to you as well. Ranking of Kings, 2021. Ranking of Kings, in my opinion, is one of the most heartwarming coming-of-age stories to have ever been made. Based on the web manga series by Sosuke Toka, the anime adaptation is produced by Wit Studio and ran for 2 seasons. Toka has crafted one of the most interesting fantasy worlds in recent memory. The kings in this world are ranked on behalf of supreme beings called gods, with the top-ranking monarch being granted a boon from their fabled vaults. The drive to become the top king is what drives most of the narrative in this series, making for an interesting tale of adventure. Enter our unlikely protagonist, the deaf Prince Boji, with his tiny frame, upon whom the burden of kingship is thrust after the death of his legendary father, King Bosu. Bosu was considered to be the strongest man alive in his prime, and was a warrior whose reputation was known across the lands. On his deathbed, the king had explicitly mentioned Boji as his heir. However, this didn't sit right with numerous people, including his stepmother, who wanted her own son to inherit the throne. Boji was, after all, tiny and couldn't hear, leading people to judge him and his father's decision. Declaring that the king was senile in his final days, the queen, along with her supporters, voted against the royal decree and established his stepbrother, Prince Daida, who was an insufferable brat. Despite his own desire to become the strongest king, Boji accepts the decision and asks permission to wander the lands in an effort to become stronger and wiser. Accompanying him in this journey is Kaga, a survivor of a clan of assassins who had been erased from the face of the earth. Together, this unlikely duo faces every trial and tribulation in a wonderful and heartwarming adventure. With its unique picture book art style visuals that further reinforce its fairy tale vibe, I guarantee it will captivate you almost instantly. Interestingly, the studio behind this series, Wit, is also responsible for Attack on Titan and Vinland Saga. I think this one will be quite a surprise for you. Check it out. Marvelous verdict. And that about wraps up this list. To find an anime that can be considered better than Berserk is a tall task, but these anime in our video today will surely appeal to any fans of the fantasy genre. I've tried to present you with a list that varies from the lighthearted tones found in Ranking of Kings to the more serious and gritty story similar to Berserk found in Claymore. The idea was to give you a variety of choices and let you explore these fantasy series in all their forms, and I hope this video will help you in doing just that. Hey, thanks for watching right to the very end. Hope to see you soon on the next one. Until then, stay safe and stay marvelous.